I am glad to welcome you to the Auto Problems channel. Real German and real Japanese quality atavisms come from the 90s, which are no longer particularly familiar to the modern generation of motorists. Please note that according to statistics in recent years, the most popular foreign cars in Russia are cars from South Korea, France and the Czech Republic, and only then from Germany and Japan. The point here is not only the price, but also, alas, the loss of the former orientation of the leaders of the automotive industry on workmanship. Modern trends aimed at fuel economy and the environment are forcing manufacturers to introduce complex experimental units and assemblies, which sometimes do not withstand Russian reality. As usual, let's start with a preface. Frankly, bad cars are almost never made today, even about of Tovaz models, which fell into the hands of the Franco-Japanese alliance. Jokes about quality have not been added up for a long time, which is very significant. However, whatever one may say, the level of car reliability is still one of the most important selection criteria for Russians. And it is formed on the basis of the regular occurrence or absence of problems among domestic car owners, who are extremely susceptible to the slightest negative feedback. The trouble is that one part of car owners still lives with the stereotypes of the past, and the other part, on the contrary, transfers point problems and sores of one model to the entire brand as a whole, missing the opportunity to take a really good car. In this review, we decided to combine two factors by presenting popular models that are considered reliable in absentia, but some modifications of which can cause a lot of problems in operation. SsangYong Actyon II, a car that primarily attracts attention with a low price, from 400,000 rubles, a fairly modern design and Korean origin. In fact, the SsangYong brand has always been a kind of Korean low-cost carrier that offered compromise solutions at a low price. In general, no model of the brand is an exception, although many are inherently quite interesting. Actyon II is offered in the secondary market with two 2.0-liter engines, gasoline and diesel, each of which has a number of significant problems. The gasoline unit is weak with the timing system, which in critical cases does not withstand even 50 to 60,000 km with all the ensuing consequences. And the diesel engine has an extremely capricious Delphi fuel system, which is afraid of low-quality diesel fuel and disables the nozzles, the intake system, which sometimes leads to burnout of the pistons and damage to the cylinder head. Add here the unsuccessful BTR DSI-6M11 assault rifle, assembled according to the principle from the world by thread, a leaking all-wheel drive system, not the most durable suspension parts, an average level of painting and inexpensive interior plastic. Total, the chance to become a regular at the nearest service is extremely high. Although, if you choose the simplest version with a gasoline engine, manual transmission and front-wheel drive, you can live quite tolerably with Actyon II for some time. Ford Kuga, the extremely popular crossover in Russia, fell victim to Ford's experiments with powertrains. The car was delivered to our country with extremely strange combinations of engines and gearboxes, most of which did not differ in particular survivability. It turned out to be quite capricious diesel 2.0, it is very demanding on the quality of fuel and especially oil. Bad diesel immediately affects problems with injectors, high-pressure pump, particulate filter and EGR system. But low quality or incorrect oil can cause problems inside the CPG. In addition, the timing chain was not famous for its reliability, which stretched rather quickly. The version boosted to 163 horsepower also has a turbine at risk. The 1.6 petrol turbo engine was again naughty due to dampness. The cooling system was not particularly tenacious, due to which the engine overheated with all the consequences. Another problem with the entire line of EcoBoost engines is the self-ignition of the fuel mixture, LSPI problem, which, among other things, burned out the pistons. The reason turned out to be the use of oil with too much calcium, after which Ford transferred all turbo engines to another oil. The power shift robotic gearbox went through all the stages of the formation of the German DSG transmission, therefore it is unlikely that a complex of problems with clutches and gear shifts can be avoided. The all-wheel drive of the Ford Kuga is built on the basis of the Haldex clutch. Until 2009, there was a low-resource unit of the third generation. Later, a transmission of the next generation was installed, which lived much longer. The combination of a 2.5 petrol aspirated engine paired with a 6F35 automatic machine turned out to be the most reliable on the Kuga. True, for unknown reasons, this version could only be front-wheel drive. Kia Sportage III, the main showstopper of the beginning of the 10th years in the camp of crossovers. Due to its defiant appearance, good equipment and not very high price, it immediately became popular. However, the trouble came from where they did not expect it. Kia, which was already running out of reliability for the Japanese, put on sale a raw gasoline engine 2.0 of the G4KD series. The motor has two main troubles, and both are serious: the cranking of the liners and the appearance of scoring on the cylinder walls. Both the one and the other problem overtook even before the onset of the 100,000th run. The first impending problem is reported by extraneous sounds and knocks. The appearance of scoring is associated either with increased oil consumption, wear of the piston rings and subsequent overheating, or with a poor condition of the catalyst, the dust from which is sucked into the cylinders. In addition, the engine became famous for the sticking of the phase shifter clutch control valves. The problem with scuffing was partially solved on the updated new G4KD series motor, which they began to install from the restyling of 2014. The A6MF1, A6LF1 series assault rifle, developed in 2009, became a test for the Sportage, so it cannot be called problem-free either. Trouble was added by dealers who declared the box as maintenance-free, which was not true. The transmission requires regular oil changes, even according to the instructions, a maximum of every 90,000 km. If there are jerks and jerks during switching, it is worth preparing for the repair or replacement of the valve body. The design of the all-wheel drive also has a serious jam, poor tightness of the coupling joints. When driving in a humid climate, when storming deep puddles or fords, moisture is almost guaranteed to get into the clutch, as a result of which the electrician starts to fail and the internal mechanisms rust. Nissan Qashqai I. When they talk about real Japanese quality, oddly enough, Nissan is remembered last. And this is no accident. The brand has long become international with a production base around the world, so the quality of different models has a different reputation. In Russia, the Japanese brand is closely associated with the main crossover of our time, Qashqai, which has much more from Europe than from Japan. As we know today, the first-generation model received an exemplary form factor, but with age it did not become a standard of reliability. On the contrary, with active operation, the 2.0 gasoline engine and the CVT have become a source of problems for many owners. The MR20 engine has good performance, but is delicate, mainly due to the thinness of the cylinder block metal. From the constriction of candles or when reinstalling the gearbox, the motor may crack. For the same reason, you need to monitor the condition of the cooling system and in no case overheat. In addition, the engine is prone to coking and piston ring sticking. As for the variator and all-wheel drive, both units are demanding for frequent oil changes, no more than 50,000 km for the box and 30,000 km for the clutch. The Jatco variator is not a model of reliability due to design features and weak bearings. During active operation it is prone to overheating, so it is not even recommended to install crankcase protection on the Qashqai so as not to impair ventilation. Among other things, the Qashqai has a rather weak front suspension. Volkswagen Tiguan I. Another exception to the usual thesis about reliability. The first Tiguan, like many representatives of the VAG concern of the corresponding time, fell victim to new technologies and experimental systems. This, of course, is about gasoline turbo engines of the TSI family, with a volume of 1.4 and especially 2.0 liters. Individual owners squeezed all the juice out of the basic, but high-torque engine, so that increased wear and thermal conditions led to detonation and, in advanced cases, burnout of the pistons. The 2.0 TSI engine delivered the most problems. The specific design of the timing chain drive led to the chain stretching and wearing out very quickly, which could lead to a jump with all the ensuing consequences. Another design and common engine problem is high oil consumption. Engineers were too smart with the piston system and specifically with special piston rings, which in reality were not operated as intended. As a result, a large amount of oil was sucked into the motor, which clogged the ducts and coked the system. The only effective method of struggle is to replace the piston with a modernized one. In addition, TSI gasoline engines do not like high mileage. Due to metal fatigue, piston breakage occurs, when at some point a piece simply falls off, which leads to a loss of compression. As for other units, both classic automatic machines and a DSG gearbox were installed on the Tiguan. The latter also regularly bothered the owners with known problems. In addition, the Tiguan of the first generation became famous to the heap for ABS malfunctions. Least of all problems with all-wheel drive. In general, if you are going to buy an age Volkswagen crossover, oddly enough, a diesel car will be the best choice, although there are some nuances there. That's all for me. Thank you all for your attention. I will be very grateful to you if you subscribe to the channel. See you soon.